In the heart of the world, tucked away in the mountains, lies a city of gold and stone, a city of spirit. Its name is whispered in the prayers of more than half the people on earth. For over 3,000 years, it has been a spiritual center, a symbol of God's presence. This city is Jerusalem. For Jews, it is their eternal capital, the site of their ancient and sacred temples. For Christians, it is the holy ground where Jesus Christ was crucified and resurrected. For Muslims, it is Al-Quds, the Holy One, the place of Prophet Muhammad's miraculous night journey. So, how can one small city mean so much to so many different people? What stories are hidden in its stones? To understand the soul of Jerusalem, we need to travel back in time, peeling back layers of history, faith, and prophecy, all built on this one single, sacred piece of land. Jerusalem's history is like a layered cake. Each layer is a different time period of faith, of war, of being destroyed and being reborn. It's one of the oldest cities in the world that people have continuously lived in for over 5,000 years. Because it was so important, everyone wanted it. The city has been captured and recaptured over 44 times by empires like the Babylonians, the Romans, the Crusaders, and the Ottomans. Each one left a lasting mark, turning Jerusalem into a living museum. Strangely enough, all this turmoil didn't make the city less important. It made it more sacred. Every time it was destroyed and rebuilt, the story became part of the faith itself. Each religion wove these dramatic events into its own story of loss, strength, and hope.
To understand how, we have to go back to the very beginning, the story of Jerusalem and the Jewish people.
The Jewish connection to Jerusalem begins on a mountain called Moriah. This is where tradition says Abraham, the father of the faith, faced his ultimate test from God. This ancient event made the ground holy, a special place where heaven and earth could meet. Hundreds of years later, around 1000 BCE, King David united the tribes of Israel and made Jerusalem his capital. But it was his son, King Solomon, who built the vision, the first temple. Solomon's temple was a wonder of the ancient world, built with cedar wood, stone, and incredible amounts of gold. It was more than a building. It was believed to be the earthly home for God's presence. Inside its most sacred room, the Holy of Holies, was the famous Ark of the Covenant, which held the stone tablets of the Ten Commandments. For 400 years, this temple was the heart of Jewish life. But this golden era ended in disaster. In 586 BCE, the Babylonian Empire conquered Jerusalem and burned the temple to the ground. For the Jewish people, this wasn't just a military defeat, it was a spiritual catastrophe. They were forced into exile, and their hearts were broken. Decades later, they were allowed to return and rebuild. The Second Temple was finished in 516 BCE. It was simpler, but it stood as a powerful symbol of hope and restoration. Later, King Herod the Great expanded this temple into something truly magnificent. He built a massive stone platform to hold it, with gleaming white marble and gold that was said to be blinding in the sunlight. Jerusalem was once again the bustling center of Jewish life. But like the first, the Second Temple also met a fiery end. In the year 70 CE, the Roman army destroyed it. All that survived were parts of the outer walls that held up the platform. The western part of that platform is known today as the Western Wall or the Kotel. For 2,000 years, this wall has been the most sacred place for Jews to pray. They gather to mourn the lost temples, to pray for a future of peace, and to place small, written prayers into the cracks between the ancient stones, embedding their hopes and their faith into the very fabric of Jerusalem.
About 500 years into the time of the Second Temple, Jerusalem became the main stage for a new world religion, Christianity. For Christians, the city is holy because of a person, Jesus of Nazareth. They believe he is the Messiah, the Son of God, and Jerusalem is where he walked, taught, and completed his mission. The Gospels of the New Testament tell us he often visited the city and taught in the temple courts. It was in an upper room in Jerusalem where he shared the Last Supper with his disciples. The final, most important hours of Jesus' life all happened here. His prayer in the Garden of Gethsemane, his trial, and his painful walk along the Via Dolorosa, or the Way of Suffering. His journey ended at a place called Golgotha, a hill outside the city walls, where he was crucified. But for Christians, the story doesn't end with his death. They believe that 3 days later, Jesus rose from the dead. This event, the resurrection, is the cornerstone of their faith. It represents the victory of life over death and the promise of eternal life. So, for Christians, Jerusalem isn't just a historic city, it's the very cradle of their religion. Today, the traditional sites of the crucifixion and Jesus' tomb are both found under the roof of one ancient, sprawling church, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Inside, pilgrims can walk the path of centuries of devotion. They can climb stairs to Calvary, the spot of the crucifixion, and even touch the rock where the cross is believed to have stood. The spiritual heart of the church is a small chapel built over the site of Jesus' tomb. The empty tomb is the ultimate symbol of the resurrection. Custody of the church is shared by 6 different Christian groups. A simple wooden ladder, placed on a ledge in the 1700s, has never been moved because the groups can't agree on who should move it. It's a quiet symbol of the city's complex history. For the world's Muslims, Jerusalem is their third holiest city, after Mecca and Medina. In Arabic, it is called Al-Quds, meaning the Holy One. In the very first years of Islam, when Prophet Muhammad and his followers prayed, they didn't face Mecca, they faced Jerusalem. This created a powerful link between the new faith and the prophets who came before, like Moses and Jesus, who are also deeply honored in Islam. The city's holiness was sealed forever by a miraculous event called the Isra and Miraj, the night journey and ascension. According to Islamic tradition, one night, the angel Gabriel took Prophet Muhammad on a winged horse named Burak from Mecca to the farthest mosque, Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, in Jerusalem. There, on the same holy ground as the ancient Jewish temples, the prophet led all the prophets who came before him, including Abraham, Moses, and Jesus, in prayer. This symbolized that the message of all the prophets was one and the same. From that exact spot, the prophet then ascended through the 7 heavens into the presence of God. It was during this journey that the commandment for Muslims to pray 5 times a day was given. This incredible journey cemented Jerusalem's status as a blessed and holy site in Islam. Today, that sacred platform is known as the Haram al-Sharif, or the Noble Sanctuary. It is home to 2 of the most beautiful structures in the Islamic world. The first is the Dome of the Rock, with its magnificent golden dome and brilliant blue tiles. It is a shrine built over the very rock from which Prophet Muhammad is believed to have ascended to heaven. Nearby is the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the main place for congregational prayer. For Islam, the connection to Jerusalem is one of inheritance. It honors the sacred history of Judaism and Christianity, while placing itself as the completion of the monotheistic message that began so long ago. Just as Jerusalem is central to the past of these 3 faiths, it's also central to their visions of the future. The end-of-the-world prophecies of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam all converge on this one city. Jewish tradition waits for a Messiah who will rebuild a 3rd temple and begin an age of universal peace, ruled from Jerusalem.
Christian belief centers on the second coming of Jesus Christ, who will return to the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem to judge the world and establish a new Jerusalem. And Islamic tradition also foretells the return of Jesus, or Isa, who will defeat an antichrist figure near Jerusalem and bring an era of justice before the final day of judgment. These powerful, overlapping prophecies give the city a real sense of tension. This shared love for one city has also, tragically, made it a center of conflict. Today's headlines often speak of division and pain, a sad reality for the people who live there. But to see only conflict is to miss a more hopeful part of the story. History also shows us that for long periods of time, there was remarkable peace and respect. When the Muslim Caliph Umar entered Jerusalem in the 7th century, he did so peacefully, guaranteeing the safety of the city's Christians and their churches. When Saladin recaptured the city from the Crusaders centuries later, he showed great mercy and welcomed Jewish people back. For centuries, different religious communities lived together, managing their own affairs. These are not just old stories, they are proof that peaceful coexistence in Jerusalem is not just a dream, but a historical reality. That hope is alive today. There are groups of young Jews, Christians, and Muslims working to build bridges of understanding, to break down stereotypes, and to create a future of peace.